Hey guys, this is Introducing Emmy, and we're back with another Redline Tuesday. This one was sent to us by Maxed Cats. I don't have the link here, but actually I should, shouldn't I? So maxedcats.deviantart.com. Put it right down here. I think it was like that, maxedcats.deviantart.com. Okay, so there's the link. Now that we started completely unprofessionally, they sent me a comic, and I'm super excited to do it. So let's see, where should we start? One quick thing I did was I hit Control R and opened up the rulers. I'm not sure if you can see them in this recording, but they're right here, just up here. And I made sure that the gutters, or not the gutters, but sort of like the safe space was about 1 inch from the sides. And you did that, basically. 1 inch. Most of the, save for like the soldier right here, his head's a little cut off into that area. So is that dialogue. We'll go over that in a minute though. But anyway, so just make sure that all the safe space was about 1 inch in. It's actually kind of a lot. Maybe it's not. Usually, like, when you go to the printers and you're getting your comic cut, the printing machines will bounce a little bit, and they usually don't bounce more than about 1/4 to 1/2 an inch. Though one time I had it bounce and cut 1 inch off one side of my book. I actually had to get it reprinted because that's way too much. Luckily it was only like 2 or 3 books that bounced. But anyway, so that's there. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, so real quick, let me go over some things I did off camera just to save time. I'm going to actually clear the guides for now. So I went ahead and retyped all the balloons, all the dialogue, and I think this was at, I'm gonna guess that was either a 10 or 12 point font, and I just used Anime Ace, which is a really common comic font right now, and it's good for, like, I'm trying to think what the legal things are for using that font, like the rules, but I think it's like first time comic people can use it or something. I don't know. I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure it's okay to use. That's bad, Emmy. Okay, so I did the text balloons on top, and now I was about to do the lines, like the frames. And people always ask me how I do them. This is how I do them. I take the rectangle selection tool, I draw my boxes, I fill them with black. I've got the opacity down right now so you can kind of see through them. I don't want that one though. And then I select all my boxes. And then I go to select, modify, contract. Now I normally contract down to 10, or I contract 10 pixels, so then the, let me think, the lines then around the borders of the boxes, the borders of the frames, or however you want to say it, the frames are about 10 pixels then. Now this page is a lot smaller than what I would normally work at, so I work at about like 9 inches by 13.5 at 300 to 600 dpi. It sort of depends on what I'm working on, but anyway, so we're actually gonna just do 5, and that gives us these nice frames. Perf. And I think I'm going to change the sketchy color to orange. Sure! Let's do pink. Can you guys still see that? There, pink. Okay. So I used the 1 inch guides to draw these lines, so this gets cut off just a little bit. And then to do boxes that overlap, all you have to do is make a new layer. Draw your box. I'm actually going to move this over for storytelling reasons. And then let's do select, modify, contract, 5. Delete the inside, go down a layer, delete that line. Go back up to this box layer and hit Control E to collapse it down, and now it's just all one big layer. Okay, great, perfect, beautiful. And so now I'll show you how I did the text. So I go ahead and I just type my text out. And then I would always recommend putting your text in first. Whether or not you completely draw on the balloons, that's up to you, but you should always have your text in, especially if you're working digitally. There's no excuse not to, because it's so easy to do now in this beautiful digital age of the future. And I just bumped my microphone. So you should always have your text in first, and then sort of use that to place your characters. I mean, that's how I work. I can see how you could do it in the reverse, where you could do your characters first and then put the word bubbles in later, but I feel like you're still like squeezing it, you know? So I'll show you how I did the balloons. So down here, yeah, that's a girl. Sorry, I had to make sure. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's a girl character. She's saying, "You are a soldier. There are innocent lives in there, and it's our duty to protect them and the Republic." Oh yeah. Okay, so, and then all I do is I do circular lasso, like the rectangle, and then I paint bucket it in, and there's an effect on this layer called stroke, and I think the stroke is also set to 5. And this isn't the only way to do balloons. You can also just use your polygon, or I keep saying polygonal select tool, but this is like your freeform magic wand tool. So you could do like that, or you could do, some people who have a more steadier hand than me, this is more like akin to a manga bubble. You know, they're a little more freeform. Actually, I think if you turn it like upright, that actually really does look like a manga speech bubble balloony thing. So there you go. So you do that. Let's see, they're innocent lives. So collapse that down, and let's have some fun since she's screaming. let's do like a raggedy bubble. I love raggedy bubbles. I don't know what they're actually called, but just something that's like, rah, you know. Yeah, raggedy. Sorry, there's just a little line here. I'm just going to fill that in. Okay. There we go. So there's our word bubbles. And they are on their own layer. And I just accidentally moved them. That's okay. So one of the first things I did when I was thinking of how I was going to work on this page, besides finding the 1-inch thingies. Oh my gosh, my pen is just selecting everything. I'm having all kinds of little technical difficulties in this episode. Okay, so let's go down 1 inch again. Yeah, okay. So there's 1 inch. There's 1/2 inch. Now that I got it there, I'm starting to think that maybe that was what you were told to do. I think this was for a class assignment. Actually, let me measure now. Wow, stop doing that. I'm rendering a video, so it is causing all kinds of funky things to happen in Photoshop. So let's, okay, that's also 1/2 inch. Bear with me while I measure things. Okay, and then I mean, honestly, 1 inch to 1/2 inch, and you're definitely going to be safe, you know, for bouncing. I can't imagine, like, it chopping off more than that. And if you find a printer that, like, if you find, I almost said a publisher, but if you find a printer who does your books and they're bouncing like 1 inch in, find a new printer. Because I don't think that's right. That is poor service. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure all our boobles, our text boobles, are within that So this is okay. There's a little bit of white there that gets cut. That's fine. I don't think that will be a problem. And then let's put this one here. This one here. Now I spend a lot of time roughing out comic panels, so this isn't necessarily how I would lay out my pages, but we're gonna go with this. We're gonna give it a shot. Okay, and then do that. And that one looks okay. Okay. Now let me get out my red pen and start explaining like why I'm doing things. Come on, there you go. Again, I apologize that my Photoshop is a little laggy. I'm rendering a bunch of videos right now. Okay. Now, I'm not going to do like a whole lot of anatomy. How come I can't see the size of my pen? Oh, girl, that's too big. No, sorry. Whoa, down, boy. My pen's a little big today. Down, smaller. No, it's getting bigger. It's still going. No, stop, it's taking over. Oh my God, this is embarrassing. Photoshop, you're killing me. Stop! It's a huge pen. Look how big it is now. Oh my God, it's at 5,000. It's max. That was only slightly embarrassing. Okay, 1 second. I'm going to stop the recording and see what's going on with my rendering that my pen is freaking out. BRB. Okay, so I think the problem's solved. I apologize for that. That's really embarrassing. I'm also sorry for my super creaky chair, which you can probably hear. Okay. So let's just dig in here. So first of all, you have your logo. And I would try to space the logo to be about a gutter width away. These are called gutters, these little spaces in between the frames. Now I'm just drawing this box here to just be like, you know, this is where your logo would go. So we'll just write logo. You already have it, which is good. Wow, you can really tell I'm lagging. We're just going to go ahead though. We're just going to do it. We're just going to do it because I think my video will be done in about like 2 or 3 minutes here. So anyway. And then since this is like the official logo for Star Wars The Old Republic, which I did look up so I could make sure it was like a real logo, reference that more just to make this look cleaner, which I think this is just supposed to be a sketch right now anyway. So, and then underneath that, maybe a little off center, I would put you know, fan comic. This is super laggy, I apologize. So fan comic, that totally says fan comic. It doesn't say fan. So fan comic by, and then your name. And then down here, I would put a link to your website or whatever. Now, I'm not giving you legal advice, but I don't know about the legalities of using these logos. I use logos all the time for Let's Play title cards and thumbnails and stuff for different people. And I've never had a problem, but I think it's a little different. I'm not claiming ownership, so just be careful how you do this. But if this is just like an assignment for school or something like practice, don't even worry about it. It shouldn't be a problem. But if you end up in jail, it's not my fault. So anyway, so you've got these two characters that are entering. This is cool and everything, just them entering straight on, but another way you could do this is to show them, oh, wow, may not be able to show you. Real quick here, I'm going to draw my gutters and then turn off these lines, because sometimes this can cause all kinds of problems when you're lagging. So let's do those in, you know what, actually we're just going to go like this. If any of you have ever, if any of you have ever watched me do my comics in my live stream, this is basically how I do them. Okay, so now I've turned the gutter, or I love the word gutters apparently, I just can't stop using it. I've turned off the guides for the edges, but I still have this little blue space to give us an idea of like how far over I can go without, you know. Hey, what happened? Why did that get all green? Why is that doing something I don't like? That looks weird. I don't know what's going on there. Whoa. I have so many problems when I record. What is happening? Did I accidentally set... Oh. No, that's... weird. I don't know what's going on there. I don't want to delete this layer. This is my working layer. Wow, look at that. That's really strange. I don't know what to make of that. Hold on. I'm going to get a closer look. It's kind of nice to find Wow. This has to be something because of the lag. Neat. I kind of like that effect, however that is happening. I don't have any weird settings going on. Okay, I'm gonna stop the video one more time. Stop the recording. I'll be right back. Okay, and we're back. So it's actually been a day between recordings because when I stopped to fix the problem, construction started in my complex. I don't know what they were doing, but it was super noisy and the mic just couldn't take it. But as I was saying before, so we've gone over with the logo in, we said, you know, fan comic by Yatada, which is you. Yatada. And then I would put a link down there. Okay, so next, to actually critique the panels. For here, you know, this is okay to show them just coming in like full body. My only thing is that, I don't know, I wouldn't really do this because it breaks into this panel space, and then time-wise it doesn't really make any sense. Like their feet extend into panels that are taking place later. This is kind of like a manga thing where you draw like the full body character, which is fine. If you want to do that, go ahead, but you're gonna have to move like anything below this line down more to below where their bodies stop, because you're sort of like, it's a little hard to explain. Like, I understand this panel isn't extending into the later time, like it's not like going into the future, but like it kind of leaves this impression on the reader like it is. So what I would recommend, if you just want to leave it like this, I would just show these characters, wow, that is my cat being a butt. I would show these characters like walking in at like an angle. Also, I'm not doing like a total anatomy critique on this. This is more of like a critique on comic layout, if that's okay. So, and then I would have her here bigger because she's like in the foreground walking in with this guy. just kind of roughing this out. It looks terrible. But so have her walk it in, and I would make him fade into the background a little more by putting a lighter color over him. And actually, I should have prepared this beforehand, but I'll just run to like one of my pages in my comic, and we'll look at that and I'll explain. When did I do this last? Let's see, 6:31. Okay, so here. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, so this character is in the foreground, so I made him darker, and the lines outside of him, like the lines that go around him, are really, really thick compared to the lines on Walter, and you can see how he's kind of like faded back in because he's in the background, and it helps set him back. This isn't a great page to show this on because it's sepia tone and it's kind of a dark page to begin with. Anyways, it's a little hard to get that effect to look amazingly great, but this is kind of the same idea. And I think I did it a little bit over here. He's a little darker now, and he's a little lighter. Actually, he's not lighter. He's just like mid-tone. He's darker though because I was trying to make him look like he's saying something kind of mean in this panel, so I was trying to like literally make him look darker, like eviler, I guess. So yeah, but you could do that all over the place. I'll just leave that open in case I have something else to say and I can use that. Okay, so then here I would keep this pose and just make it bigger to fill this space here. And then, oh, I need to show you guys how to do tails, don't I? Okay, so I'll do that here in a minute too. I kind of skipped that part. And then here, the soldier is extending his arm again outside the panel. I wouldn't recommend doing that. There's like very few times where I think you can actually get away with doing panel breaks with a character, and they have to be almost extending into past space to some degree, like maybe just a panel before them to help, like especially when there's a conversation going on like between the two of these characters. You have this panel here, and then you have this panel here. So this would be panel 2, and this is panel 3. So panel 2 and 3 are technically connected because they're having a conversation. So I think it would be okay if his head broke into her panel a little bit to show that connection. But otherwise, I would not have him extend all the way back into panel 1. Now, there's like a few ways to get around this, like the fact that you can't see his whole pose anymore. Well, one of the ways to get around this is to make the text smaller. Now, I made the text about the same size that it was before. The balloons actually take up less space, but the font is still a little big. You could probably go down maybe another 2 points and it would still look okay in print. I'm always surprised by like how small text can actually be in print and you can still read it pretty good. I'm sure that there's people out there who would be like, no, leave it like, 18 point or whatever, but usually like I think industry standard is usually 10 to 12 points, maybe 14. It sort of depends. So yeah. And if you made the text smaller, the word balloons get smaller, and then you have more room for art. So it's up to you. So this character is speaking. I would also, if you could, his head would cut right here. You could actually have him cut over the top of this word bubbles. Just make sure that his head obviously doesn't cut off letters or text, and that there is enough of a gap between his head and the text. And I actually think that would look pretty good and also help to establish that he's the one saying this. And then here you can either have a tail connecting these bubbles, or you can have, I think the original was 2 tails. So you could have 1 tail here, 1 tail there. And you could actually move her more off to the side because the back of her head is actually taking up like a very valuable art space for this character. Okay? And also make sure that word bubbles don't cross word bubbles that are from somebody in the background. So he's not really in the background, but you know what I mean. He's not foreground. He's not a foreground character. So he's in the back talking. His word bubbles should never cross over objects or people that are in the foreground. So his word bubble shouldn't cross over her. If anything, she should break his word bubbles to help establish that she is in the foreground, and that the text is literally and figuratively touching her, like she's hearing what he's saying. So I just tracing over there. So you could actually move her back even more to get more space, and again, you could make her darker or him lighter to help establish characters in the background and foreground. Now, if this was, if you were doing this in black and white and you were willing to use halftones, let me see if I have a halftone comic that uses this. I don't know, we'll look. Come with me on a journey. I don't do halftone comics very often. I'm only starting to do them, so I might... Okay, wait, stop. Stop loading, you stupid computer. Okay, there it was. So here. Also, these halftones are not so great now that I'm looking at them, but they're enough that... So this character here, she's, you know, she's talking and she's in the background. This character is in the extreme foreground, and I put like a texture, like a halftone texture over her to say, you know, she's here and stuff, but don't focus on her. Focus on this character here, the one who's talking. Okay, and then I didn't really do it vice versa, but her lines are a lot thicker on the outside than Gracilis, this character here. So there you go. I was just looking to see if there's anything else. Yeah, I don't do manga style comics too often. I really like the style, but I feel like I'm not to a point where I'm very good at them yet. So I was so proud of this page when I first did it. Okay, back to the critique. Okay, so this is another kind of like manga thing where you have no tails connecting to a word bubble. The original was like this, where it just said sir. You can do that. I personally have trouble reading these bubbles. Like, I never know who this is. Like, I know it's not the person in the panel because the tail is not connecting to them. But, like, I personally don't do this. I like to have tails extend, like, out of frame. Like that. Or however. Just make sure they look nicer than that. You could even, also... another way to do manga bubbles. I'm actually going to put this like that. Is that okay? Okay. So, another way to do it that I've been seeing in manga in like the last decade or so is a tail that goes like an inverted tail. Like you would actually cut this out. That means somebody outside the panel is talking. And then another way to do it is to just simply have the tail pointed off screen or off frame or panel. So expressions, you know, she looks okay. I would not have her eyebrows turned in so much, or extend the eyebrows down further over on this side to show more of a shocked expression. I was also a little confused on like what was going on here so far as like who was telling her, like, is this guy saying like, sir, respond to me, or is it this guy here that I drew over, this guy with the pointy ears, being like, sir, respond to the soldier? So I was a little confused by that. So maybe showing who is speaking might help, I'm not sure. Okay, and then a little shock. There we go. So then, again, I had sort of issues with this. Like, I guess she's sort of steeling herself to yell at this guy, or considering what he said. But if this is like a mid-transition, I would maybe just like... maybe make her pupils a little smaller to still show that she's sort of like, okay, I'm doing this. You know, like she just heard it and now her pupils are a little smaller. And maybe have her mouth open a little bit more. I'm just going to turn her head up a little more in this panel. And I'm going to put her head down a little more in this panel. And then she gets really mad. Okay, and you know, this looks fine. I'm not even going to bother going over it anymore. And so this guy, he says, sir, the original text extended off into the danger zone. So, there's no real great way to position this, but you could even, let's maybe do something like this, and then cut this off so that this balloon ends right at the edge of the panel. And make the tail maybe kind of small so that it doesn't cross over his face too much, and also maybe shows sort of like his sheepishness, like, oh shit, I'm gonna get it now. So I don't know why I'm putting those there, but I just think it looks neat. Okay, anyway, so then I'm gonna raise his shoulders up a little more. Okay. Also, I really like this where his goggles, the tops of his goggles are kind of like his eyebrows. It sort of makes me think of Harlequin from Batman. Like, a lot of times the top of her mask doubles for her eyebrows when she's in villainy mode. Okay. And then here, the only thing I really have to say about this is this is fine. You just want to make sure that it's over here. And I'm doing kind of a bad job at it. Also, I'm so torn about this personally. I think for serious scenes, I would not use asterisked emotions in comics. Like, there's sort of this movement going on right now where English speakers who do comics are using motions as sound effects, and that's actually a really common thing in Japanese comics, manga, because there are certain like onomatopoeias that represent actions, but they don't translate well. So when you see English translated manga, a lot of times there are like, you know, grab or gulp. Well, gulp's not a good one, but like gulping or stomach growling or heart beating. Like, those are not, we don't have very good onomatopoeia for them, so they get translated as like actions as opposed to sound effects. And I'm really torn about this. So like, honestly, if you want to do it, go ahead. If you don't. I would recommend in English comics that you do not use actions as sound effects or write them in the panel if you're doing a serious scene. If you're doing something more lighthearted or like a parody of manga to some degree, or like a parody of the style, then go for it. It's like, whatever. But it's better to have a firm grasp of artistic motion that shows what's going on rather than just writing like rap. Because, I mean, you could totally take that further and just be like yelling, you know, it's a gray area, and I don't know how I feel about it totally. I personally try not to do it ever. And, you know, don't worry, in like my older comics, I wrote out the actions all the time. And now that I'm redoing a bunch of pages, I'm having to take those out and just make sure that the action is like really solidly drawn. So, yeah. Okay, and again, here, there's not really a whole lot to say. I love this. These are great. All of that. This is good too. Don't mind me, I'm just kind of checking things out. So here, you could maybe even exaggerate this even more, like lift his arm up a little higher, though this could be a problem because his elbow is now touching the edge, so I apologize, but you could bring his hand up and he could be like, oh shit, and have his like little fingers all crooked and like, oh, you know. So just to make things a little more, you know, angly and exciting. If you wanted to, you don't have to. So one other thing is that, and this is a little bit unavoidable with the way this panel is laid out. So we've got this great text, great dialogue. Oh, that's going into dangerous area. This guy might have to get moved. Or I would maybe silhouette him out, like I would just, you know, darken this. And the only reason I'm saying to do that is to draw focus to the characters in the foreground, because they have really detailed armor and it could be a little distracting. And also, I mean, there's really no way around it. You're going to have a dialogue, a word bubble tail, I mean, extend over top of him. And if he wasn't done in silhouette, it might look like he had a big old pointy mustache. So you might have to darken him out. And if you want to, depending on how you have this dialogue laid out, you could actually, if you wanted to, include another panel somewhere of him, like you could put it here maybe. I'm not sure. You could definitely squeeze it in of him like giving her this look, like, you know, the stink eye, or yeah, you tell him, or you know, however you want to, you know, do this. But you probably won't be able to get any good drawings of him reacting to anything she's saying. I don't know if that's why he's back there. If he's simply just back there to be like, yeah, he's back there, he is in this set, he's part of this moment, I would just put him in silhouette. But if you need him to react, I would leave him in silhouette for this panel and add another panel of him like looking at her or something, you know, to draw focus to the fact that like he's not only a part of this moment, he's reacting to the moment, if that makes any sense. And having like a nice little angled panel coming in and cutting into that, it kind of helps like establish like, yeah, you know, he's there and he is either for or against her or whatever. You know, it makes him totally horny to see her yelling at this guy, whatever it is. So, yeah. So that's what I have to say about that. I'm just kind of doodling on her while I'm thinking here. Also, thank you for not doing this, which I've been seeing more and more of, or like this. Basically, people have been putting arrows in their panel layouts to help guide the eye, and it's not really necessary. So let's actually go over the whole thing and see how our panels run. Okay? So first we start here, okay, so if we're an American reader. Then we read logo, then we read who it's by, then we go right to her, okay? Because she's going to be the first one talking, and also she's like the main character here. This guy's here, we consider him. We know he's there, but he's not important right now. So then we go to this dialogue bubble, to her, to this dialogue bubble, to him, to the last one, to her expression. Now here's where we're getting a little swoopy, that's okay. We're going to go boop, 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 and we're going to follow down to here. Okay, this is all right. One other thing I would recommend is maybe putting a thick black line to help show that this is kind of like a new set of panels. You don't have to do that, you know. Naturally, the human eye will just, because of the way we read, the human eye. All humans everywhere read like this. No, the English-speaking comic eye will, you know how your eyes speak English? You get what I'm saying. Anyway, they will travel down to this panel because it's the next one and it's the furthest left. We read this word bubble that's probably from somebody off camera. She startles, then we go, and then he goes, oh, sir, and then she goes, wait, bam, grab, and then she's like screaming at him, and we're reading it, and then he's reacting, and then it's great. We're gonna draw a penis like this. Okay, whoa. So okay, you get it. Everything's great. All right, so it's all reading correctly. I like it. It's good. All right, cool. So send in more comics. I love doing comics. Like I said, I'm not going to do like a whole lot of anatomy or anything on this one because it was more just about like comic critiquing. So original to that. Okay. Perf, 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 perf. Oh, one last thing I wanted to say. You're probably like, one last thing about the full body. This probably wasn't your intent, but you don't have to show that full body shot right away. You can, but you don't have to use all your tricks right away, so to speak. Like, try to space out how you use your shots, because I have this terrible habit where I think up this like great panel thing, or like a couple really good panels for a scene, and then I just like use them all like right away, and then I'm like, oh fuck. So lately I've had to slow down on how I do my panel layouts a little bit, like slow down in, I guess, the pacing of the panels, like how I use body layouts and stuff, because a lot of times I like use all the best shots right away, and then it's just like a bunch of talking heads near the end, and there's more of that in my earlier pages for Trying Human, but now I think it looks okay. So also another thing I can recommend is first panel in a scene should have a pretty good establishing shot of the set. And it might help to show it again, I guess. I don't know why I showed it again, but I guess because she's there and it's a thing and it's a thing. So, you know, these two characters are interacting with each other, and then that's on the next page, and then it shows them walking in the hallway. So here's where you get your full body shot, and you can say, or you can see, you know, here's what she's wearing, here's what he's wearing, you know, and then we degrade down into talking heads. And then we move back to a scene shot or a location shot because the scene's now changed. So we get this hallway. Notice that these two characters in the background are just like, what's a good word? Like background characters, like they're set pieces practically. So he's the only one I drew with detail. These guys are just like color with like a thick outline just to say, you know, they're there, you know. So then we just move into more talking heads, a little close up on the eye. Okay, that's the end of the video. Go away now. All right, bye.